estate agent, there is a moment that almost everyone experiences in the first few weeks after getting your license. You pass the exam, you join a brokerage, you get your headshot taken, you order business cards, and maybe you post that announcement on social media, hey, I'm excited to share I'm officially in real estate. And then one morning you sit down at your desk, the excitement settles, and a much quieter question shows up. Okay, how do I actually get clients? If that's where you are right now, this video is for you. I'm Jeannie Martin. I'm a broker here in North Texas, and I've been selling real estate for 30 years. In that time, I've watched that exact moment play out over and over with new agents. So today, I want to walk you through what I believe your first 90 days should actually look like. And I want to simplify something that our industry makes far more complicated than it needs to be. Here's what you discover almost immediately when you start looking for clients. There are endless ways to generate real estate leads, and everyone you meet is convinced that theirs is the one that really matters. One trainer tells you open houses are the answer. Another swears by calling expired listings and for sale by owners. Somebody else says the future is YouTube, your social media, or starting a podcast. You can farm a neighborhood, buy internet leads, run ads, send postcards, knock on doors, join networking groups, volunteer in the community, or specialize in relocation, senior housing, or military buyers. And if you attend a real estate conference or start watching training videos, the list gets even longer because every speaker has another strategy, every coach has another system, and every platform promises another stream of leads. Now here's the part nobody tells you. For a brand new agent, all these options don't feel like opportunity, they feel like quicksand. Because instead of choosing a direction, most new agents try to do a little bit of everything. They post on social media on Monday, attend a networking event on Tuesday, hold an open house on Saturday, buy a few online leads, and watch a training video about expired listings somewhere in between. And a month later, they're frustrated and discouraged because nothing seems to be working. But the real issue isn't usually effort. Most new agents are working plenty hard. The real issue is focus. When you chase 10 lead sources at once, you scatter your energy so thin that none of them ever gets enough attention to actually produce. You're not building a business at that point, you're sampling one. And I'm not saying that from a mountaintop, I'm saying it because I made the exact mistake myself. When I first started building my business, I focused on 3 things: open houses, networking, and farming my own neighborhood. Those were my 3 pillars. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just 3 things I committed to doing over and over again. And for about 6 months, I stayed very focused. I held open houses, I met people in the community, I introduced myself to my neighbors, I built relationships, one conversation at a time. And the encouraging part was, it was working. I was closing deals. I was starting to make some money. The business was slowly gaining traction. And that's exactly when things got dangerous. Because once you start closing a few deals in this business, you suddenly show up on a lot of radar screens. The lead generation companies start calling. The emails start landing in your inbox. Everybody wants to sell you a system or a platform that promises even more leads. Around that same time, I attended a real estate conference. And if you've ever been to one of those, you know exactly what happens. Speaker after speaker gets on the stage with another lead strategy, another marketing idea, another system that worked for them. By the end of the weekend, your head is spinning with all the possibilities, and you walk out with a notebook full of ideas and the sinking feeling that you should be doing all of them. That is exactly what happened to me. So I tried. I started layering on more lead sources, more marketing, more systems, and I'll tell you exactly how that went. I ended up being terrible at all of them because I couldn't give any single strategy enough attention to make it work. Instead of doing 3 things well, I was doing 10 things poorly. And when your attention is divided that many ways, nothing gets the focus it needs to succeed. About 6 months into that mess, I had a moment of clarity. I stepped back and asked myself one simple question: what is actually working? And the answer was staring right at me. It was the 3 pillars I had started with: open houses, networking, farming. So I cut everything else. I went back to the 3 pillars and committed to doing them consistently again. And the business started moving forward almost immediately. Here's the part I really want you to hear. That was 30 years ago. And today, I still run my business on 3 lead pillars. Not 10, not 15, 3. Because in this business, consistency beats variety every single time. So that's what this video is really about. Instead of trying everything, I want you to choose 3 pillars, just 3, and build your first 90 days around them, long enough for them to actually work. Now, before I tell you the 3 I recommend for new agents, let me acknowledge something important. There are many ways to build a successful real estate business. I know agents making a great living on expired listings, on YouTube, on relocation, using online leads. All of it can work. The challenge for a new agent was never finding the perfect strategy. The challenge is choosing a strategy and sticking with it long enough for momentum to build. That's it. That's the whole game. The first pillar, in my opinion, if in your new business, is a non-negotiable, and that is your sphere of influence. Your sphere is everyone who already knows you. These are friends, family, neighbors, former co-workers, the other parents in your kids' school, people from church, from your golf group, from your book club, anyone you already have a relationship with. Now, a lot of new agents hesitate here because bringing up real estate with people you know can feel kind of awkward. But think about what your sphere already has that strangers don't. They already know you, they already like you, and they already trust you. Know, like, and trust. Those 3 things take years to build with a stranger. Your sphere starts there on day 1. These people don't need to be sold. They simply need to know that you're in real estate and that you take it seriously. So how do you work this pillar? You build a database, and I want to be upfront with you because this is where most agents, new agents, check out. Building a database is not sexy. But you know what else isn't sexy? The foundation of a house. And if that foundation isn't strong, the whole house eventually cracks. The agents who build strong databases build strong businesses. I've watched it for 3 decades, and I have rarely seen an exception. Here's what goes into it. Start with everyone, and I do mean everyone. Name, address, phone number, email. And please don't stop there, because those are just the basics of what make a database valuable. Add everything you know about each of those people. Their spouse's name, their kids, what they do for work, where they love to travel, their birthday, the fact that they never miss a Cowboys game, or that they bring the same famous lemon bars to every neighborhood gathering. Write it all down or put it in your CRM, because real estate is a relationship business, and relationships grow when people feel remembered. When you call someone and ask how their daughter's soccer season wrapped up, you're not a salesperson anymore. You're a friend who happens to sell real estate. That is exactly the position you want. Then comes the question of how to stay in touch with that database. And my answer is every way you reasonably can. Email is a must. A consistent newsletter or market update they can count on. Calls and texts. Comments on their social media. Coffee, lunch, dinner, a client event once or twice a year. The goal is never to constantly sell something. The goal is to stay present in their world, so that when real estate comes up at their dinner table, and it will, your name is the one that comes up with it. One last piece for this pillar is growth. Set a weekly goal for how many new people you're adding to your database. It doesn't have to be a big number. 5 a week is 60 new relationships in your first 90 days. But if you don't set a goal, it's very easy to stay stuck with the same 50 people forever. A weekly number keeps you focused on expanding your network instead of just maintaining it. The second pillar I recommend for new agents is open houses. Here's why I love open houses for brand new agents. They're one of the fastest ways to stand in a room with people who are actively thinking about buying a home. Think about that for just a second. These aren't cold leads. These are people who got in the car on a Sunday, drove to a house, walked through the front door, and are already imagining their couch in that living room. That's why open houses get called low-hanging fruit. The intent is already there. Your job is simply to be helpful, be memorable, and stay in touch afterward. But, and this matters, an open house without a plan is just an afternoon spent sitting in someone else's house. The agents who win at open houses treat them like an event, not an errand. So let's talk about that plan. It starts with choosing the right house, one in a neighborhood where buyers are actively looking. And here's a tip: if you're brand new and don't have listings yet, borrow them. Walk up to the busiest agent in your office and offer to hold their listings open. Most of them will be thrilled to hand you a Saturday. Next, think through your directional signs. How many are you using? Where exactly will they go? Do they actually lead someone from the main road all the way to the front door? Drive the route yourself before the weekend, because I followed sign trails around here that simply ended. Don't let that be yours. Then think about the experience inside the home. How does the house smell when someone walks in? Is there music playing softly? Are the lights on and the blinds open? Is the whole environment welcoming? And what about your marketing materials? Are they on brand for you? And what will attendees actually leave with? A flyer, a neighborhood market update, something that reminds them who you are long after they pulled out of that driveway. And then there's the most important question of all. How will you collect information? A sign-in sheet, a QR code, a genuine conversation? Pick your method, but have one. Because here's the hard truth: if someone walks through that house and leaves without you getting their information, that opportunity is gone forever. And remember, the real magic of an open house isn't Saturday afternoon, it's not Sunday morning, it's the text that says, "Thanks so much for coming by yesterday. I thought of you because 2 other homes just hit the market in that area. Want me to send them over?" The open house gets you that conversation. The follow-up gets you the client. The third pillar is visibility, becoming a recognizable name in a specific place. For most agents, this looks like one of 2 things: geographic farming or community networking. Both work. I built my business on farming, so let me tell you exactly how it happened, because I think the story is more useful than the theory. When I started out, my first farm was my own neighborhood. It was about 300 homes. I didn't have a big budget, so I wrote an introduction letter and snail mailed it to every one of those 300 homes. And in that letter, I gave my neighbors a reason to choose me that no outside agent could ever match. I told them, what your home sells for affects my personal property value. I live here. When I fight for your top dollar, I am protecting my own house and my own investment. Nobody will work harder on your sale than the agent who lives down the street. And here's where I'll admit I got lucky. I got a call off that very first mailing. That almost never happens. Farming is normally a long game, and you should expect months of consistency before the phone rings. But here's the thing about luck in this business. You can't get lucky if you never send the letter. Now, what I did next is the part I actually want you to copy. Every time I closed a deal, I took part of that commission and added another 300 homes to that mailing list. Close a deal, add 300 homes. Close another deal, add 300 more. I kept doing that until I was consistently mailing my newsletter to all of my town. And that newsletter has paid dividends for years, decades actually. To this day, people I've never met greet me like they know me, because in a way they do. I've been showing up in their mailbox for a very long time. Notice what made that work, because it wasn't magic. I started small. 300 homes was what I could afford to reach consistently. I gave people a real reason to pick me, not just a photo and a logo. And I scaled with my success instead of ahead of it. Compare that to the new agent who picks a 3,000 home farm, sends 2 postcards, runs out of money, and declares that farming doesn't work. Farming works, quitting doesn't. If mailing isn't your thing, visibility can come through networking instead. Join the Chamber of Commerce, show up at community events, volunteer, coach, serve. Meet people face to face again and again in the same community. But remember, something important about networking. Going to the event is not the goal. Building relationships is the goal. Walking around collecting business cards isn't networking, that's just walking around. The relationship starts when you follow up afterward. Which brings me to the thread that runs underneath all 3 pillars, and that's follow-up. Follow-up is where deals are actually won, and the best description of follow-up I've ever heard is this: be like a dog with a bone. A dog does not give up on a bone. That same polite, helpful, consistent persistence will earn you clients for life, because so few agents ever do it. Most give up after 1 or 2 attempts. Be the one who doesn't. But follow-up only works if you keep your promises. If you say you'll find an answer, find it. If you say you're going to send information, send it that same day. And listen, it is perfectly okay to tell someone I don't know. You're new. You can't know everything. What matters is the next sentence. But I'll find out and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then actually do it. That one habit will set you apart from more experienced agents than you'll ever believe. And remember this, you have a real estate license. You already know more about real estate than most of the people you'll ever talk to. Your job now is simple. Keep learning and keep helping people. So let's bring it all together. When you combine these 3 pillars, your sphere, open houses, and visibility, with consistent conversations and dog with a bone follow-up, something interesting starts to happen. Momentum builds, conversations turn into opportunities, opportunities turn into clients, and clients eventually turn into referrals. That's a moment in real estate where business stops feeling scary and starts feeling stable. So if you're a new agent starting at that overwhelming menu of lead generation ideas, here's my best advice after 30 years in this business. Simplify. Choose 3 pillars. Build a simple plan for each one, and then work that plan every single week for 90 days before you judge it. Real estate success rarely comes from doing everything. It comes from doing a few things very well for a very long time. And if you'd like a second opinion on what your 3 pillars should be, reach out to me directly. Email me at jeannie@martinre.com or call or text the office at 972-414-0719, or you can find me at martinteam.com. I love talking with new agents, and I'm happy to help you think through exactly what you need to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.